Hey everybody, this is Andy Kushner, host of the Wedding Biz, and this is another episode of The Next Level in which I have a guest co-host, and together we discuss the most recent interview and suss out a few key topics to help turn them into some specific tactical strategies, advice, and ideas for you to use to bring your own business to the next level. And before I introduce today's guest co-host, I want to mention last week's interview. If you missed it, it was Monty Durham, star of TLC's Say Yes to the Dress Atlanta. Very charismatic guest. And we had Nairi Kalajian of Lavella Bride as the guest co-host on The Next Level. So that was a great pair of interviews last week if you missed them. So without further ado, today's guest co-host is none other than John Emanuel, Australia's premier floral designer, who appeared on the show January 13th of this year. John, thank you for helping me out here. I appreciate it.
Absolute pleasure. Thanks for having me back.
Yes. And the person we're going to talk about is Wendy El-Khoury, located in Sydney, Australia. You know her pretty well.
Yeah, Wendy and I go way back. So probably to the beginning of Wedded Wonderland almost, or just thereafter. So
Wow.
Wendy's an amazing person. She's so charismatic and she definitely knows her stuff.
She does.
And it's actually such a privilege to know her and work really closely to her. Like we support a lot of her events and she supports a lot of things that we do with the way of, you know, being a media partner for us in our masterclasses and have you. So, Wendy's amazing and she does a great job and she's definitely impacted the luxury wedding market here in Australia. It's totally amazing to know her and great person.
Yeah. And for those of you listening, if anyone wonders exactly what we're talking about, Wendy is the owner of Wedded Wonderland, which gives its followers exclusive on-trend and immediate access to the latest celebrity news, wedding advice, beauty tips, and lifestyle inspiration. And they allow the audience to engage with creative suppliers and knowledgeable experts and influential bloggers who set trends and create the benchmark for the bride and wedding community expectations as they unfold. So, John, one of the first topics that came up kind of early in the interview was how she talks about brand identity. And I know you had a strong feeling about that.
Yeah, absolutely. And one thing I love about Wedded Wonderland and Wendy is that they absolutely know who their follower is. You know, she made a comment that the Wedded Wonderland follower is in love with the idea of being in love. So they're actually followers a long way before they even put an engagement ring, she said. So,
That's right.
And just being, having that knowledge of your client or who your follower is, I think is just so detrimental. And even like when she coaches us in the way of our businesses as well, or inspires us, it's about knowing who your client is, who you're reaching out to, and how to go about that, and really knowing your brand and growing your brand to be quite strong. And, you can have a look at maybe 20 different weddings that you do and that you've posted on Instagram, but there needs to be that common denominator in them that, this is a John Emanuel job, this is a John Emanuel job, or this is a Diane Khoury job, because there's that strong brand identity even in the creative spectrum of things as well. So it's really, really amazing.
Yeah. And like you said in the beginning, I love how it starts before they get engaged. I mean,
Absolutely.
What better way to develop a brand and extend it throughout?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And I think too, when we look at social media and how it's impacted and grown the luxury wedding market, it's because people like our brides have been following for years and years beforehand, and they've seen and they dream and they want us to create these dream amazing weddings for them. And we can put a lot of that down to the success of Wedded Wonderland, because as I said earlier, she has truly, I believe, revolutionized the Australian luxury wedding market through her Wedded Wonderland platform.
Yeah, yeah. Also a topic that's obviously hitting us all right now at the time of this interview, at the end of April, is the pandemic, the coronavirus. And, she talked about how people are just so used to being busy and how it's affecting, mental health. A lot of people are just not feeling as vital now. How are you feeling about that? How is it affecting you?
As I was saying earlier, like we flew over to the Middle East a few weeks before our lockdowns come into action here. So we saw it coming. So I think it feels like it's been going on for so long because we saw it coming a few weeks earlier.
Yeah.
So we just prepared for it. I just sort of prepared, okay, what are we going to do? And not knowing what it looks like, but, okay, well, business is going to slow down. We're not going to be able to have events. So our business is actually diminished.
That's right.
So, for me, it's just thinking, okay, how are we going to make this work? How are we going to generate business when there are no events coming? But we all know that there's life after, that there will be life after Corona. Mm-hmm. So, my thing is just creating promotions, booking clients in, having amazing consultations with them, and getting them to put deposits down on their weddings. And we've booked in weddings for 2022 now.
Wow.
People taking advantage of this. So for me, in coping with this, it's being able to remain proactive and going into survival mode and think, okay, how am I going to make my business survive through this? And what's it going to look like on the other end of this as well?
It's interesting to me, when you just said that they're booking into 2022, this is a trend that, at least right now, that's happening, where people are booking 2 years ahead instead of a year.
Absolutely.
A year and a few months because of this situation. It's really interesting. I'm glad you're able to benefit from that.
100%. And even like the other night, I was on an Insta Live with another wedding industry person. And, and I actually said to the brides that were listening, and who are getting married, mid next year, end of next year, the year following, what have you. It's like, if you need to book in the services for vendors, have the consultations, be it face-to-face where it can be it on Zoom or what have you, or what other things you can use. Because when you actually go in and you book your weddings in and you put your deposits down, you're actually helping keep the wedding industry afloat.
That's right.
It's almost like a thank you, so that's how we're going about it.
She gave some specific advice, which I really like. She was talking about how, for herself, and what she advises is that each day people set a list of tasks of what they've always wanted to do and just tick them off, like even if it's just 3 things, so that you feel like you're reaching a goal. You know, and so I thought that was a good idea, because I think some people, you're real busy. Obviously, we were talking about that, and I'm very busy. I have a music company and the podcast. I'm still very busy, which is, keeping me occupied. But there are people that are having such a slowdown; they're not sure what to do. So I thought that was a really good piece of advice.
Yeah, absolutely, and even if it's not from a business standpoint. I've absolutely loved getting into the gardens lately, and
oh yeah, you have more time for that?
Absolutely. I reseeded my front and back lawn the other day, and with pleasure, watering it with a hose, so it takes a little bit longer.
That's great.
But just doing things and spending time with the family, and reconnecting with the family, because we live such busy lifestyles. Taking the opportunity of this downtime, not just for business, but also for personally as well. I just think just take advantage of the situation. There's nothing we can do about it.
Right.
So my perspective is, let's do the best that we can do with it.
Yeah. Almost embrace it in a sense, and she was talking about how she's been jumping online like crazy to check in with other people in the industry, as well as personal, because I'm doing what you're doing too, John. Personally, I've reconnected with friends from years ago. I'm concerned. I want to know. And it's been wonderful. But the flip side of it is doing the same thing with people in the industry who maybe we're not as in touch with, or just to reconnect with, which I think is also really wonderful. What a great way to stay current.
Absolutely.
What about also, she had brought up that this is, and I believe this too, this is also an opportunity. We've got to look at it as an opportunity to reinvent ourselves in some ways. Have you had a chance? It sounds like you've been pretty busy in spite of it, or have you found some different ways to do business that you might not have thought of or been motivated to look into in the past?
I think because we don't know what the world is going to look like after coronavirus, right? Particularly with, are we going to be in a wave of recessions or anything like that? Like from my interview, if you remember, we actually launched an artificial range of flowers.
Yes, that's right. I do remember, yeah.
Which allows me to discount it, because I do have the stock is here. It's already paid for. It's not like a fresh product where you only get one use out of it. So, we've been really pushing that, probably more so than what I would have if this didn't happen.
Yeah.
And we're actually taking advantage of it. We're actually ordering more stock as well, creating new designs, and pushing this way as well, because I sort of think if the economy is weak, and it may be, after this. We've got a product that, if the average spend of brides come down, we've got something that's going to meet that market.
That's great timing. And I think you had just started that just a little bit before the pandemic hit. That was good timing.
Absolutely. And just to let you know as well, this promotion, my conversion rate's like almost 90%.
Wow.
So, I just think people have to get really creative on, or recreate themselves to a sense, just as long as it's not too far from their brand identity, I think, as well. There's no point people have asking me, are you going to do a Mother's Day promotion or do deliveries for Mother's Day now that you're not doing wedding flowers? And I'm like, why would I spend the energy on that when I can spend my energy and focus on creating weddings is what I'll do. So, so I put all my focus into that. We're still on the same path. We still want to do luxury weddings, but if the market falls back a little bit, we've got a range that we can still give people what they want at a more affordable price.
Yeah. I also asked her about what trends she thinks might come out of this. And I thought this was really interesting and hit it just right on the nose. She said that she thinks one of the first trends will be local destination weddings.
Yes, absolutely.
Right? To recreate international destinations, but locally, which I thought was fascinating. Do you agree with that?
Yeah, absolutely. I think with all the flight restrictions and things like that, we don't know how long it's going to take for international borders to totally open up again.
That's right. So,
and some brides and grooms, they dream of destination weddings. They don't want the big local wedding. They want something really beautiful and intimate, instead of having 200 guests, 50 guests, 100 guests at a destination. I think that'll definitely become a trend because there's so many beautiful spots in Australia. So island destinations and things like that just off our coast and things like that. So I think it'll definitely be a big trend coming in. And then we need to be creative as well. For a bride that wanted to maybe get married in Positano or something like that, we may need to recreate that for them.
Right. Yeah.
We need to be creative with that too.
Yeah, that's really neat. Well, there we go. It opens up some real creative opportunities there.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
While we still have time, one more topic here. She also talked about how fashion, beauty, and lifestyle, how it's all related, and how basically celebrities and the fashion industry set the trends for the wedding industry. What has been your experience of that?
100%. When it comes to celebrities, I remember when Kim Kardashian got married, the flower wall. She had that beautiful flower wall, and then flower walls become all the rage. When Meghan and Prince Harry got married, they had all that beautiful foliage with little elements of white flowers. And, and that started a whole new trend of really whimsical and almost, foliage-filled events and things like that. So definitely celebrity weddings and trends definitely have effect on the local wedding market.
Yeah, and so we all really, she was stressing the importance of how we need to understand the wider market of events and fashion because of how it influences weddings.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah. Well, that is all we have time for today. John, thank you so much for appearing on the show today. I really appreciate it.
My pleasure. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, and let me let everyone know how to find more information about you. First of all, they've got to listen to your interview, which was released January 13th of just this year. So I recommend everyone checking out John with that. We had a great conversation. And his website is johnemanuel.com.au. This will be in the show notes. Also, social media handle. I want to make sure, John, I have this correct. John Emanuel Floral Events. Is that correct?
Yes.
Great. John Emanuel Floral Events. All of this is in the show notes at theweddingbiz.com. And for Wendy and Wedded Wonderland, go to weddedwonderland.com. Again, weddedwonderland.com. Social media handle is the same, Wedded Wonderland. And if you haven't followed us, The Wedding Biz, on Instagram in particular, follow us at The Wedding Biz. And we'll catch you all next week on The Wedding Biz.